the car up, undo the 32mm nut there. Should be enough, just a few turns. Then jack the car up, remove the wheel. So we've got the wheel off and everything. What we'll do now is slacken off the 32 nut on here. That'll do there. Okay, so next I'm gonna undo the tie rod and the wishbone joint down the bottom here. Believe this is a 17. Yep. I'm looking for a 17 socket. Might need to give it a tap here with a hammer to try and pop the ball joint out. So I'm going to grab the hammer. And all you want to do is give it a slight tap either side. And hopefully that's broke it loose. Nope. So what we'll do now, I'm going to use this to release over here. Then just do it up from a 19 on the bottom here. I'm going to use an extension and hopefully this will work. Oop. Actually didn't take a lot to get that out there. Always put the nut back on the bolt like that so you don't lose it. Next I'm going to undo the lower ball joint down here, and I believe it's a T55 on this side. Yep. Then on the other side, where's my I believe it's an 18. Yep. Couple of turns with it. It's already started to come off. Nice little touch. There it is. So then with a small hammer, give that a few taps out, and it's all out. This is going to be replaced with a new one, so put that to the side. Now what we need to do is, on the suspension arm here, you've got 3 13mm bolts like the other side. I'm going to loosen them off, so then we can sway the arm once I pop the wishbone down and out, and sway the whole arm out of the way. I've got the 17mm drop link on the top to do now. There you go. So Allen key 5mm. Where's my 17 gone now? There we go. So pop this out. There we go. Let me know in the comments what you think of the audio. I am trying a new wireless mic, and I've also set up a small little GoPro to get some extra shots as well, to save me keep moving my main camera around here. That's the plan anyway. I have to keep checking batteries and everything and making sure everything's still going. A few extra little Christmas prezzies, you know. Saying that, I hope you guys all had a good one. I'm going to pull down like that. As always, put the nut back on the bolt. I have got a few more little LED lights coming that I can put next to the mic, so I ain't got to have all these wires draping everywhere as well, and I can have other LED lights pinpointed. So what's left now is to slacken off the 3 13mm bolts on the top of the strut, so then that gives us some more levy, so when we undo this 32 down the bottom here, you can just pull this out of the way, slide it to the side, and that gives you access to remove your drive shaft. So I'm going to nip up top, slacken the 13mm bolts off, and come back to you. So under this cover here, you reveal, let's put this somewhere safe, over there. You reveal your 3 13mm bolts and just undo them. You ain't got to undo them all the way. Okay, let me get a bit of angle on that, see if I can give it a bit more height on the camera so you can actually see. Here we go. So it's these 13mm bolts here. I'm going to put them just to the top of the actual thread, so then I've got enough room to move the drive shaft and the wishbone and everything out of the way, and the arm. Okay, so that's loosened it up. Leave it like that. You can pull this back down. Okay, so all that's left now is to use that tool I used in a previous video, the blue one, for the wishbone removal, and just put enough leverage on it to drop it up from the bottom, and then I can sway this bar out the way. Hopefully I'm undoing this 32mm bolt here, as you see. There you go. As I'm talking to you, I might as well get it out of the way. Then all that's left to do Just literally pop the wishbone out from the ball joint down the bottom here and move the whole leg out of the way, and like I say, that give you access to pull out your drive shaft. Got one more cover to remove, but we'll do that in a second. So let's see if we can get this wishbone out of the way. Let's grab the tool. Get a cloth or something to pad it with so you don't damage the paintwork. Just a couple of old rags. Get some cleaner, a brush. You'll see why in a second. Right. This tool's a lifesaver. It saves a heck of a lot of time and a lot of bruised knuckles. So, as you see in the last video with this, I have to keep checking the batteries on this mic, so I do apologise. Is with a cloth, put it over the end so you don't chip the paintwork here. Over like so. I just hope I've got the room to did that pop out? Something happened. Can't see what. Let's move my hat. No. Almost out, believe it or not. I don't find a little bit more room under here. The leverage on this, but making do with what I've got. I think we're actually out. There you go. Okay. So push this out of the way. Slide that over the back. Then a couple of taps. Should come out. There you go. And that's that out. So imagine what it'd be like if I was having to do this and I didn't have that pry bar. It's cold and everything else. It really is cold out here. But that was so much easier that way with that tool. So what's left now is remove the cover from here. And then what I'm going to do is, before I pop the drive shaft out itself, I am actually going to give it a spray with some degreaser, engine cleaner, brake cleaner, whichever you want to use, just to make sure it's cleaned up before, and there's no muck around when I pop it out. And then I can put the new one back in and put it all back together. But before I put it back together, I will be replacing the knuckle on this side, the bearing, and what else, dust cover, ABS sensor, and putting new bolts back in, so then this side is completely redone. So let me get that cover out and let's just crack on. So camera went off then, a bit strange, but it's one bolt and one nut out. Just stick them to the side so I don't lose them. Now I can drop this out and reveal everything else, so give us a second and I'll come back. So like I say, before I pop the drive shaft out here, you're going to get some gearbox transmission fluid coming out, okay? But before I pop it all out, I'm going to give it a good clean up with some engine clean and brake clean, or whatever you want to use, just around all the side here. As you can see, it's quite mucky. So, and this hole you see here, we'll be taking them out in a minute, because that's the refill hole for the transmission fluid. There should be two, there should be one lower down. You can't really see it, it's just below where my finger is here. Okay, so we'll crack the bottom one out when it comes to it, and then you let all the fluid out in the container, and then you do it back up, and then you top it back up from the top one. But I'll show you that in a minute. For now, let's just get this all cleaned up and go from there. Oh, and I hope you like the little GoPro I've got set up as well, so I can get a bit closer with the shots. Because it's small, it enables me to just get in a bit tighter with the second camera. So, and the audio, like I say, should be better, fingers crossed. So I've got a bit of cardboard underneath, and I've got a brush. So let's just okay, so as I forgot to hit the record button, it's now recording on the GoPro. I decided I'm going to come back. I've put everything back together just to quickly show you and run through what I've done. So using the 8mm Allen key I used, that I cut down to go between the subframe and the drain plug on the gearbox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the drain plug. I'm going to use a close-in spanner and just give me a bit of leverage like this to pop it off. And then, because you can't, it'll still be reasonably done up, I'll use a pair of grips just to crack it off that little bit more. So let's show you. So I'll put it, can't really see now, but I'm hoping you get the idea of what I get that in there, like that. Okay, get the closed end on your ratchet here. Okay, and then literally give it a bit of force, you know, don't be scared to, and because this has already been done, say that now, I can't, oh, let's move the light, you can see the bolt down the bottom here, what I'm trying to undo, just here. Well, I hope you can, it's just here. Okay, so with a bit of pressure, it will come loose like that. It's just fiddly. Right, then take out your 8mm. Then what I done is I used the mole grips just to slacken it off a few turns. And then I used my hands and fingers to get like so. Let's move the light, put it around here. Hopefully you can still see where I'm aiming, down here. So I'm trying to not knock the camera. Just do that. Then leave it for a little while to drain. Why Ford designed it like that for, I don't know. It's not the best design. There's still some fluid in there to come out. So why Ford designed it like that for, I do not know. You know, there's got to be another way of doing it. Either that or Ford wanted you to take it back to them to do. So I'm going to give that a little while. Come back and pop the drive shaft out. Put the new one in. Undo the filler cap, fill it up with gearbox fluid, and that's that job done. So, oh, I've got a bit of wind today, so I do apologise for that. And right, it's still draining, it's getting there. So let's pop the drive shaft out, shall we? Okay, so I tried to use a pry bar to get the drive shaft out and separate it from the gearbox here. But as you can see, there's not much room between the actual subframe and the gearbox to get some levy on it to pop it out. So what I end up doing is buying a sliding hammer set and one of these drive shaft puller tools to see if it'll help do the job. So I'm going to set this up and see if it works. Right, so what I've done is I've got more room to work. You know, and you probably ain't got to do this, but I've done it to give me a bit more room. Because I've taken, like I said, the strut out, suspension, everything out, so I've got more room to work with a sliding hammer. I'll tell you something though, it is cold out here because it's snowing. Well, it has been snowing, should I say? But I'm gonna just set the camera aside now and try and crack it off like with a sliding hammer. Hopefully this thing will do it. I've read that it should do it, but we'll see. So after that last clip where I was here when it was snowing, I decided to go home. It was too cold and the sliding hammer I had wasn't doing the job. It didn't have the weight behind it to do it. So I went home, got all my gear together, and I've come back over here. Now as you can see over my shoulder, the snow has all gone. So I'm back out here again with a new sliding hammer. I'll show you that now and we can crack on with the job. Let's go. So I've brought my microphone over this time. It's not quite plugged in yet because I need to use the phone hands-free. This is the sliding hammer I've invested in. Undo it. Hopefully this will do the job, and using that axle remover tool should work. Attaches to there and you just slide it out. So I'm going to get the camera set up and we'll try and get this drive shaft out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I better quickly tell you, I have removed the suspension arm just to give me a bit more access to work and get the views I need, because I'm going to be doing all the suspension anyway. So the idea is that this puller sits around the cup up this end on the drive shaft like so. Then you get your sliding hammer screw it in. You might want to actually attach that first. Don't know why I didn't think that. So we'll just do that. That's me being a numpty. There you go. Then tighten it up. It's 24mm on that. And this thing's really heavy. So put it around, as you can see up there. Let's hope you can see that okay. Pull the drive shaft down out of the way. There we go, and then a few yanks back. I believe that's just popped. Give it a couple more turns. Nip it up a bit more. It did come loose a bit. But yeah, that's come out. Just going to use a slide under there. Pull it out the rest of the way. That made light of it. There we go, and it's out. So as you see, using that sliding hammer made light work of removing that. You can use, as I've said, in some cases you can get away with using a pry bar, but I found using a pry bar on this, it was a struggle because there's not much room between the gearbox and its subframe for any movement. I tried using a smaller sliding hammer and there was just no weight in it. That was my own fault. So I've managed to get hold of one of these heavier sliding hammers and it pulled it out after a few attempts. All that's left to do now is get the oil seal out, because I've come this far. So we'll get the oil seal out on the gearbox, top up the fluid. What we're going to do now is just give it a quick clean up, and then we're going to remove the oil seal. And I've got one of these seal pullers to remove it. So I'm going to use some brake cleaner and a wire brush just to clean up around here. That's a bit better, as you can see already. I could go proper in depth with it and keep doing it, make it look really smart, but I just want to get as much of the crud off away as I can once I've got access to it. Not going for a perfect finish, just make it look a bit more tidier. Right, okay, so we've had a quick clean up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the oil seal out. I've got my new one ready to go in. The best way when you put these in is use a socket over it, or a bush removal tool that can sit flush on it, and then a socket, and then tap it into place. Put a bit of oil around the edge to help it slide into place as well, but I'll show you that in a second. But let's try and get this out. So that's what I'm going to use. Hopefully that don't happen and damage any of the car. Get the feeling that was the original seal on there. That's just not budging. That's a part of the right inside of the seal. Bit of penetrant fluid to see if we can loosen it up. I'm going to have to tighten this up. Screws coming loose already. I've been hitting and tapping it with the pry bar just gently to try and loosen it up, but nothing's moving. I think it's proper wedged in there. I'm going to use this, and like I've done with the flathead, and see if I can push it so it turns and cracks the seal. Oh, I can see a bit of movement. Only a little bit though. Just here in this corner, it's beginning to come away. Whoops, hit the camera, but it's out. What a job. Get a rag, clean up inside. Right, let's get the new one in. want to try something first. Alright. Alright, that sits alright, so it's all good. Obviously, bit of grease, bit of oil, and I'm going to use a bush tool that's flat on there, and then put a socket over the top of that, and then with an extension bar I'm going to tap it into place. So let me get them bits and I'll show you what I mean. So I've got some bush removal tools and a bit of oil. So the plan is a bit of oil around the seal, around the metal bit. Okay, and then I'm going to use a bush removal tool like that, so it sits nicely over it, and then using a socket on an extension, tapping it in with the hammer on the other end. So let's crack on with that. Bush removal tool. Like that. A few taps just to make sure it's going in. Oop. Nope, so try again. Could always try a smaller one. In place. Now get the drive shaft. Okay, so got the new drive shaft ready to go. I have checked it against the other one to make sure it's the right length. It's all good. Take the cap off the end. Okay. Might need a few taps on the end. Let me move the camera back a bit. So you might need a few taps on the end with the mallet to actually get it into place. Okay, so I've got a bit of wood. I'm just going to stick over the end here, use my mallet. There's not much room here to do this. I could probably get away with just smacking on here, but I'm worried about damaging the threads. So wish I had a bit more room sometimes to do jobs like this, but I haven't. Just do it that way. It went in. So there it is, it's back in. All that's left to do now is refuel the gearbox oil through the filler cap just here. And I'm going to undo that, top it up until all the fluid is actually running back out of that filler hole, and then we're topped up, it's done. I have got a little tool, a little syringe to help me fill this up. I'll grab that and I'll show you that now. Right, so what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to check this lower drain cap, if I can get the Allen key in there, just to make sure it's done up. Oh, do you know what? they don't give you much room down here to work between the drain plug and the subframe. Should do it. So using an 8mm Allen key, ooh. Come loose. Okay, so it is just short of 2 litres, it's something like 1.75 litres. So where these are a litre each, you need 2 of these. And what you do is you fill up via that hole. I'm going to use this syringe suction tool, just make my life a bit easier. Comes with a plastic tube, goes over the end. So let me just get a bit more space on the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's move this down. There's my oil. Put that in the filler hole and you just slowly feed it in. As you see, it's not taking a lot of pressure to feed it in. And as I said, you'll know when it's filled because it'll run out that filler hole. And I'm sure you guys can see what I'm doing quite nicely. I ain't had any complaints yet that I know of. Right, so on the next lot out of here, just waiting for it to start running out. I can see it running out now. There you go. And you can see that running down there, so you know it's full. So get your oil cap and plug it back up. What I'm going to do now is just give it a spray over with some cleaner. The job's a good one. So there it is, guys. One drive shaft out and replaced. The gearbox oil seal's also been replaced on this side, and we've had to replace the fluid. All that's left to do now is I'm going to leave it for another video. Is the strut needs replacing, the springs are all going to be done, the hub's going to be done, and all the bearings are going to be done as well now. So that's off the car, ready to go. I can crack on with that. If you guys want to see me actually do this job, let me know in the comments below and I'll show you. But it's identical to the other side, what I've done on that side, and I'll put a link to that video in the cards at the top of the screen. So for now, that's that job done. Nice and, I'd say nice and easy. But once you've got the right tools, it is easy. You know, getting the right sliding hammer with a bit more weight behind it helped, and getting one of these, where have I put it now, one of these tools to remove the oil seal. It made it easy eventually when it come out. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you'd do differently, if you would do anything differently. All that's left for me to say now is thanks for watching, thanks for persevering with waiting for the videos to come out, and until the next one, bye for now.